you remember the show
do
The
not.
Parenthood? It was like from
Actually
probably
don't.
1995. It was like a sitcom similar to
Live
Family
action or
Matters.
cartoons?
It was live action. Similar to
Hmm.
Family Matters. The father was the guy from Meteor Man. Remember Meteor Man?
Yeah, wasn't that a famous guy?
He's famous-ish.
I forget
Um,
his name.
I don't think I ever knew his name.
Wasn't it Eddie Murphy?
No, it wasn't Eddie
Oh.
Murphy.
What the fuck is Meteor Man?
Meteor Man. He gets the power from a meteor and he fights like the worst gang ever. They're like gold people with tigers or some shit. It's like the most ridiculous movie you've ever seen, and it's wonderful. But so he's the father of this show, and like he plays like the Carl Winslow in this scenario, and he's got a daughter, and then a younger
Whoa.
child and boy.
Hold on, I'm still freaking out because Meteor Man wasn't. What movie am I thinking of then? Who the fuck is Robert Townsend? This is Mandela shit. What the hell is happening?
So what are you thinking of? Paint me a word picture.
No, Meteor Man. He like touches books and he can like instantly know everything in the book or whatever the
That
fuck.
sounds like a thing.
I thought it was this gigantic flop that like was very damaging to this person's career, and that was relevant because they were a famous person like Eddie Murphy. Eddie Griffin's in there. I wouldn't have done that. Meteor Man himself. What the hell? Oh, no. I'm thinking of like Briscoe Tomorrow. What the fuck was that called?
Oh, you're thinking
Where he's
of The
fucking-
Adventures of Pluto Nash?
Yes,
That's
okay.
Eddie Murphy. And I actually loved that movie.
Okay.
Even
No,
though
no,
it was
yes.
received so poorly, as are most of the time period there of Eddie Murphy movies.
At least this fucking makes some amount of sense. Because holy fuck. They're in the same pose. Okay. Ooh, I thought I was racist for a
The
minute.
difference, though, is
Ooh.
Meteor Man is a superhero, while Pluto Nash is more of a smuggler. He's
Yeah.
kind of like your Han Solo
there.
character.
I never saw Pluto Nash.
It's worth watching.
Everyone said it was horrible.
It's not great, but it's great in the way that we like it. Like this is very much
Ooh.
akin to a Super Mario Brothers movie, where like it's like, well, the sets are just cheesy enough and the plot's just ridiculous enough that I'm like, yeah, I was totally in. So I saw that in theaters, and I was like, oh, I like that. And I even bought the DVD like
Ooh.
when it came out. So I paid $20 for that DVD.
I like this cast a lot.
Has a great cast.
Luis Guzman, Jay Moore,
Yep.
Joe Pantoliano, Randy Quaid. There's a lot of
Randy Quaid. Randy Quaid
there's a lot of
has
people in this movie
the
that most
best
people don't
role
appreciate.
of Randy Quaid's life. And no, I'm not talking about Independence Day where he's like, I'm back. He's talking about the role in this movie
Ooh,
where
I'm done.
where he plays a like robot and he has like a shaved head and he inserts all the robot noises himself, if I remember it
With
correctly.
his mouth?
So it's like, coming, boss. Like he's literally making the noise.
If that is accurate, I'm
And-
super on board.
And maybe I've totally changed it in my mind to make it better, which I have a habit of doing.
I do that
but
too,
that's
that's
what I
fine.
remember, and that's what I would pass some sort of a lie detector for this. That and yes, he's just this crazy fucking robot.
That's not what I pictured at all. I pictured
it's
the guy
so
from
good.
Red Dwarf or whatever.
No. There's like almost no change except for like they painted his eyebrows on. He's like a ridiculous character, and he's like freakishly tall because I think Randy Quaid is just tall in
He's just a big
general,
guy?
and Eddie Murphy must be like much shorter than I thought he was because when they're side by side, he looks like he towers over him, and like he's like. Meow, meow, meow.
That's if he's making those noises with his mouth, that's the greatest thing ever.
I can't say that happens 100%, but it definitely happens in my head.
That's perfect.
But The Parenthood is a show that I got stuck with where I was like, all right, let me just check these, and all the episodes aren't available. But because it's a sitcom, it doesn't really matter.
If you had said who's in the Parenthood,
Uh-huh.
and it's like it's a black family, and it's like from the '90s, I literally would have guessed Steve Harvey, and there's a Steve Harvey.
You would have
show
called the Steve
that's
Harvey.
probably the exact same thing. Yeah. Okay.
So like this was all like the UPN 9 lineup was like
Yeah.
my whole childhood. I loved like all of these shows. They filled like
were
that
you ever
niche.
hanging with Mr. Cooper?
I loved hanging with Mr. Cooper from 1992 to like 1997, I think.
You with the years freaks me out. How do you know these things? Okay.
Again, some of this it's just close, but some of it I know.
Yeah.
But no,
You say
hanging
it
with
with
Cooper
such
was great.
confidence, though, that it sounds like
That's
you know
that's
it.
half my thing is I say everything loudly.
Like,
And
that was
people just believe it.
1994, November, and we're like, oh my god.
I did know a guy though, and we would fact check him constantly. He could name any celebrity's birthday. So if you were like, Charlie Sheen, he'd be like, 1974, October 3rd. Like you'd be like, holy shit! And like
What the fuck? How do you
then
do
you
that?
could also say a year and a day, and he could do it backwards, which like
He'd be like,
fucking
she would
insane.
say a random day, and he'd be like, Goldie Hawn, Whoopi Goldberg's
Yes.
younger sister, President Eisenhower, and whatever.
And
you'd be like,
you're like you're sitting there like, well, you're full of shit because no, you're, and then I'm like on IMDb like, holy shit,
it's not possible to know these things.
you're like some sort of Rain Man for dates.
That is literally like a Rain Man thing.
But like you
Scares
have
the
to.
fuck out of me.
The thing for me though is you had to have at least looked at the date once because it's not knowledge. It's just you like get through osmosis. Like I saw that guy, I know how old he is by visual representation. You had to at one time flip through IMDb for
he was-
every single person in order to know their birthday, or had some sort of like encyclopedia of
Right.
birthdays.
Do you think he was just a normal person who like had seen dates ever? And
I
it was
don't know.
somehow in his head.
But if we were to go through your memory banks and I can name like any celebrity,
Yeah.
you've never seen any visual data
Right.
on their birthday.
Well, so
You know, maybe
there
you
are
checked
some-
out something. Yeah.
So there are some. So like devil's advocate, there are some that I would have, and on like Wikipedia and like elsewhere, it's there.
Yes.
And,
Yes.
and there are some that I've checked on purpose. But the universe of that is so small, and even if I had a photographic memory that only remembered the birth dates,
Sure. Sure.
I would still have gigantic
Because just
gaps.
think of this
It would
Venn
still be
diagram
crazy.
that has to line up
Yes.
here. You have to A, be some sort of crazy person who remembers dates, right? And then B, have to be actively looking for all the dates to be this person who's a superhero of birthdays of
Do
celebrities.
you think he realized like I like dates? I like famous people.
But he didn't. He wasn't like, definitely 1,000 toothpicks.
No, that's the only thing. I made it that way in my head.
And like, we're still friends. I haven't talked to him in a long time, but I'm sure I could get him on the show and be like, hey, we're just gonna quiz you.
Fucking dates go.
I wonder if he still has it. But Jesus, it was a ridiculous
Wow,
power.
she's like a normal person that was desperately trying to have a niche and be popular and just memorized all these dates.
I don't
Spent
know.
every waking minute just going through.
But it was like it was one of those things where like that's impressive and weird, but it was definitely a talking point. And whenever a conversation got slow, you'd be like, March 24th, and he'd be like, Dame Judi Dench, Alec Baldwin. I'm like, what the fuck?
It does nothing but scare me because a lot of that stuff is like computers can do that like better. You don't need to be able to do that. There's no reason to have you do that. April 3rd, and just fucking
Yeah.
happens, and you're like, how is he doing this? Fuck.
Well, that was like Terry McGinnis is talking about how his and this is in Batman Beyond about how his father made him learn the multiplication tables, and his girlfriend, who's like the teeny bopper as she is, was like, oh my god, why would he have you do that? He said it'd be useful, and like this is like the year like 20 like
Was it useful?
I don't know, like 50 years from now, and I don't know, he's doing stuff in his head. It didn't come into like, all right, we have to stop the bomb. Do you know 10 times 11? And everyone's like, I'm from the future. I need a calculator,
I
and
was
he's
just
like,
gonna
I got
say,
it.
so let's take a step back here. It is Batman Beyond. So
Yes.
does that mean that no one learns their basic times tables anymore? Is that the premise here?
If you ask me right now,
Yeah.
and I don't know this,
Sure.
do kids right now learn
Sure.
basic math? I'd be like, do they? I don't know. What's the point?
Right. No. I totally.
Because
I
the
totally
whole point
understand
as a
that.
child, do you remember like
Yes.
when you'd say, and every child did this, what's the point of this? Why do I have to learn this? They'd be like, because you're not going to have a calculator all the time. But you
No, it's
do
to,
have a calculator all the time now.
to, train your
And no
brain.
teacher has
Yeah.
even an argument now.
That's
So
to
if any
train
kid in
your,
school right now
brain.
does say that,
It's a mental exercise.
it's a ridiculous thing. We should
So
be learning quantum physics via phone app.
You can't do that without multiplication.
I think you could.
The no. But so it's not like his father made him learn like 121 times 417, like all the way up. He just
I don't
learned
recall the exact
real
level,
ones or
but I
whatever.
feel like he got
Yeah.
up to the 12 times 12. Like I think he
Okay.
was in the standard multiplication.
Good.
Yeah.
But that was unusual because he was in
Very.
in like the reverse caveman times.
Yes.
AKA the future, where no one knows that anymore. I
But
like that.
just to flip back here.
Yeah.
So like we say it's an exercise. Well, you can't get to this farther thing without this
making that
basic
up,
thing.
yeah.
But just think about like back in the day, it'd be like, well, you got to train your legs because you have to be able to get places. And now it's like you could be in a wheelchair and travel across the world. Like,
But you should still exercise because it's good for you.
yeah, but you
Point.
could also
Done.
just get your
Won.
ventricles changed
again.
out like an oil change.
No.
It's like crazy world we live in. We don't need anything.
I yearn for the day when you don't need to exercise or do anything. That's what I'm doing right now. So I'm hoping for the day that that's appropriate and we meet in the middle and I get like a robot heart or something like that.